You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is. It is actually showtime. And guess what? It is time for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here. And we got pretty much a show for you today because we're going to talk about it. This is a continuation of what is grinding my gears now. And we're going to talk about it because there's been a lot of people that's in the creative sphere that I'm a part of that have talked about this in the past here. And everybody was talking about AI art and all this other type of stuff. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it in a way where we're going to probably, if I could say, disprove a lot of myths. And then we're going to show what it's really like. And in addition to that, should we be concerned as artists and creators? But before we do that, we got our usual stuff that we got to deal with here. We got to do our normal business here, which is tell you guys about Stupid O'Clock, which happens 1 hour into our show here. I have a sneaky suspicion we are going to go into the 2-hour time frame, mainly because of the simple fact of the topic of tonight and a lot of stuff that we got to cover. And that is followed up by Last Man Standing at 1 a.m. Eastern. Then you get a little bit of a respite for Monday, and that is Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Nevermind the Furthermore with Nicholas Tockert. And don't forget about us here, right here on Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Comic Book Spectrum. And yes, we will be having another Comic Book Spectrum this upcoming Thursday. And that does not even include the actual upcoming last Whatnot show for the year, because we only want to do one show in December because we're not going to do it up on the week of Christmas. We're not going to do that here, but we are going to do our last Whatnot show for this year on next Saturday. So we got a little bit of time for that here, but nevertheless here, it is that time once again for us to do new comic book pickups for the week. And here we okay, everyone, we got a lot of books to cover for this comic book pickups for the week here. And we got very little time here, so we just want to start with the first box of stuff that we got, plus the stuff that I got behind me as well. There's stacks upon stacks. Some of the stuff is going to storage. Some of the stuff is staying here because I still got to do reviews and stuff for Comic Book Spectrum. And we got them already kind of like lined out and everything based upon actual titles now. So I got a lot of reading to do, nevertheless, but some of the stuff is going to storage immediately and other stuff is still staying here. And we're going to start out with this series here where I can put them back in the box here. So we got G.I. Joe 307, this cover right here. And then we got the sketch variant. G.I. Joe 308 and its sketch variant, 309 and its same sketch variant, 310 and its sketch variant as well. And then we got a whole bunch of G.I. Joe #1s from the new series, from the Energon series here. So G.I. Joe 1 cover, that's one cover. And then we got the Cobra cover. And then we got Tomax and Xamot versus, it looks like, CoverGirl. And then we got kind of like Duke's Stalker, looks like Heavy Duty, probably Junkyard, and Hawk and CoverGirl. That's if I got them right. And then we got a Cobra Commander cover with, where I think that's Duke coming after him. And then a Baroness cover. You can't have G.I. Joe without the Baroness. And then we got two sketch covers here, one with the Joe logo on it and one with the Cobra logo on it. So that's going to go into the sketchbook the sketch cover collection here. I need to separate those. That's not really going to go to storage, because I might draw on them rather soon. The normal CoverGirl Jenny Frison variant, that's the normal one. And the reason I have to preference that's the normal one, because I have the foil one as well. That's the foil. One normal, one foil, and then this version of the foil #1 as well. So there, yeah, that was a lot of G.I. Joe #1s. And then we got, I think these are third printings of Duke #3 and Cobra Commander #2. So both of those are third printings. I'm going to allow you to see the full covers here. So that's Duke #3 and Cobra Commander #2. They're all third printings. And then I got my Destro run completed now. So we got issue 2 of Destro now, issue 3 of Destro, issue 3 of Destro again, then issue 4 of Destro, and issue 4 of Destro. And then we got Scarlet all the way through. I think that's only 4 issues here. So we got second printing Scarlet #1, another second printing Scarlet #1, even yet another Scarlet #1 second printing. Then there's issue 2, another copy of issue 2, issue 3, another copy of issue 3, issue 4, and issue 4. It's interesting because Scarlet at least brought back the Hirashikage, and the fact that Heartmaster is still around was very interesting. So nevertheless, it is what it is. We got the facsimile of not about to say G.I. Joe again, Transformers #1 from the limited series here, and its sketch cover variant. So that goes into the sketch cover pile. And then we got Film Force 203 and 204. And yes, I'm slowly getting to the point where I almost have all of them now. I still got a lot of ones in the 100s that I have to get, but at least from issue, I'm almost at the point where from issue 1 to maybe like 103, I'm not missing any issue here. So we're getting there to have a complete run of Film Force and everything. So that's a good thing in a nutshell. So let me go ahead and put these back in the box. I gotta figure out how to port these books in a bit, but like I said, we already got them set up by groupings here. And now we're getting to like the odds and ends books and stuff to that magnitude. I talked to Don Milo on this one here. This one might be coming to a Whatnot sale, which is special edition Batman Long Halloween #1. So that one might be coming to Whatnot to be sold here. Then Batman Wayne Family Adventures, I mentioned that one on this week's Comic Book Spectrum. I'm probably going to read it and probably sell it is a freebie, just like this Joker the World is also a freebie for all these or for Batman Day. Don't really care about it too much. We got the variant of Fire and Ice Vocals of Smallville #3, so that finally came in. And then we got another variant of Wonder Woman 800 that I did not have. Spider Woman #5, which I didn't have, or at least I think I didn't have here. And then we got issue #2, which is a America Chavez variant of Civil War #2. And then we got Absolute Power #2, and think this one was sold to me only for the simple fact that it was a Wonder Woman cover. And I believe that this one is Void Rivals. I don't remember which issue. I want to say like issue 12, and this is kind of like the Energon, part of the connecting cover for the Energon side here. And then we finally got the Luchaverse Catalyst series here. So we got issue #1, issue #2, and issue #3. So we got the full run of Lucha Catalyst, which is cool. I actually dropped this title here, Gargoyle's Quest, but we dropped it at a good time where we had like issue 3 and issue 4. We got the tail end of Negaduck, which is issue #6 and #7, which is the tail end of that, and #8, and Justice Dust #5. So now we got all of those accounted for. Yeah, these are going to the Whatnot sale pile, and the rest is going to storage. So that's the storage box, and this is the what to be sold on Whatnot. So now we're going to get into books that came in. Some of them we actually talked about before because I got them by different means here. We got Birds of Prey #11, which I did a review on. We talked about this on Comic Book Spectrum, but I also got the variants of it too. So we got the dinosaur variant with Big Barda in the mouth of the dinosaur and everything, and another version of them being around the dinosaurs. Issue #12 we already talked about. We already discussed on Comic Book Spectrum, but there they are looking down at fleshy, or actually I should say chibi versions of themselves and everything, so more cartoony type self. And then this nice little cover of Batgirl and Barda. And then we talked about this issue #13 here already, and we got the Batgirl cover, another Black Canary cover for issue 13, and then the multiple versions of Black Canary. And then I forgot which character this was here, but this was for Hispanic Heritage Month. And now we're getting into the books that I haven't read as of yet, which is issue 14. I have not read issue 14 as of yet. And there's the special Trick or Treat issue for 14. And we got another Batgirl cover. We got a foiled, the foiled Black Canary. And then there's issue 15 where Barbara Gordon is back being Oracle. And we got the Black Canary cover with, now I'm actually interested because now we got Barda and Grace Choi up in the team and everything here. So it's like Black Canary, Grace Choi, Big Barda, Barbara Gordon, Cassandra something, I can't remember her last name and everything. Vixen, and I forgot who she, and dang it, I forgot her name already. I don't know, I'm bad with names, but that's all issue 15. And then we got the other cover with Vixen, Grace Choi, and Big Barda. So that's all Birds of Prey. Some of that I still have to read, so that's the reason why they're not in the box as of yet. Things that are going up in the box, I got. We already talked about this issue number 10 of Sensational She-Hulk, the last issue of Sensational She-Hulk, where we finally got the other copies that I bought from the person who normally pulls my books. They finally came in. That could go into the short box that I already got for already here. I kind of mentioned this already on Comic Book Spectrum, but yes, I got Storm number 1, and all of these are different versions of Storm number 1 here. We got the one with Doom on the cover, that alternate version of Storm number 1, this one too. Trying to keep the glare out because there's a little bit of glare. Tilt it like that. There we go. And then that foil. Now I think I have a version of this one, a version variant of that one already in storage. But yep, we got Storm number 1, which is going to be kind of nice to read, and then we got Catwoman 69. That is the shoot. Why can't I'm blanking on name? That's Choi. Frank Cho cover of Catwoman 69. And there is the foil version of Catwoman 69. I don't know what it is with me and blanking on names here. And then here's the block of books that everybody wants me to really start paying more attention to, starting with Wonder Woman Undercover issue number 1. And we know what the undercover books are. It's going to be just pretty much probably going to be Diana talking about all the different covers that had happened over the last couple of months here. But now I could probably catch up to where everybody else is at with the Tom King Wonder Woman here, starting with issue number 10. So I got that version of issue number 10. I don't know if all the other issue number 10s came in or not, but I got that one. There's issue 11 cover A. That variant up here. I have to bring my hand up a little bit more for you guys to see everything. And that variant for issue 11. And that one too, which is like more like the old school. Let me turn it to the side here for you guys to get a good look at it. So that's issue 11. And then we get to issue 12. And it looks like they got another Trinity story up in here. And this has tie into Absolute Power. Issue 12 variant. And another issue 12 variant. And then we got a swimsuit variant for issue 12. And it's more of like an armored version of her on issue number 12, making sure that you guys could see everything. And then we got the Beetlejuice version of issue number 12. Then we got issue 13 with another Trinity story up in it. Then we got Cassandra Sandsmark on the cover here, a more traditional rendition of Diana. And then all the different versions of Diana. I wouldn't say this is all of them, but this is just a good majority of them. Over the decades, I could say, more so than anything else. And then 14, we have that one as the main one. And this one as a variant. And then this David Nakayama version of her as a whole here. And then this more of her as Trick or Treat as during her Wonder Girl phase here. And then we got the foil variant. So that's all of the Wonder Womans that I got here. Like I said, a lot of it is stuff that I still have to read. And it will happen soon. So that goes on here. And then another series that I'm definitely going to start reading soon here is Plastic Man No More, because I like myself some Eel O'Brien. So we got that version of issue 1, this variant, and this variant of book 1. And then book 2 is starts out with that as a cover and this as a variant as well. And then book 3 has this cover and this one here. And yet we're at the tail end of everything, because before I could read this series, I have to wait to get issue number 2, or else the block is not completed. But this is the updated version of Gotham City Sirens. It was only a 4-issue series here. So there is the original cover A. And then I got the Catwoman cover, because one, I just don't like all the Harley Quinn type stuff. And we got this group variant here. We're missing issue 2, and the person who normally pulls my book said that they got shorted, so they're still trying to get me my issue 2. But there's issue 3, the Catwoman variant of issue 3. And it seems like issue 3 had the connecting covers. And there it is, issue number 4, the end of the series. So I can't even read Gotham City Sirens all the way through until I get issue number 2. And pretty much on that note, we still got more. I keep forgetting about the stuff that we got back here, because I have books back here. And I know people been waiting for me to read this. I finally read it. There it is. There is Absolute Wonder Woman number 1. And we got different covers of volume 1 right there. That one is pretty nice here. That's more of a kind of like a silhouette. And I got another foil blank one. So I got 2 of those now. And I also got that covered in foil. So we covered those here. And then I got the facsimile of Police Comics number 1. And facsimile of Police Comics number 1 it has their origin of Plastic Man, and it has a Phantom Lady story up in it. And Police Comics really is an anthology of all these different stories, but it's kind of cool in a nutshell. And then if you was here for Comic Book Spectrum, we cover I Lie Popeye number 1. And as I stated, I also had number 2. I read issue 2 as well, but I did not review issue 2. We only did issue 1. So there's more to come dealing with I Lie Popeye. And then if you notice in the background, in the last books that we're going to talk about here is the Treasury editions here. So we got the collector's edition of Superman versus Wonder Woman, which was C54. And yes, it's completely foil all the way around here. So that's nice. And then I got this in a hardcover format, but it's kind of nice to have it in its original format. But it's foil. It's just a foil cover, foil facsimile of it. But here it is again. Superman versus Muhammad Ali. It's a great story, and then having it in foil now, you get to see the greatness of the late great Neal Adams and what he did for the crowd and everything, because the crowd is actually awesome. If you pay attention of how all the crowd was drawn and everything, I mean, he took some time to draw like every person and everything, and then you could kind of get like who may be in the crowd. Like up in here, it kind of looked like the Jackson 5 and everything. And you kind of like go through the crowd and try to figure out who is actually a celebrity that might actually be in here and whatnot. So it's like even here you kind of got like Batman right there, and probably Lex Luthor and everything to that magnitude. But then I was looking at all the famous faces and everything that also appeared in that cover as well. So it's kind of nice to have those now in its original formats. Especially the Superman versus Wonder Woman, you know, that one I had actually thought about getting, but I never got the original. But now since I have the facsimile, I could actually read that. But again, because it's foil, I have to be like very, very careful on it. But that is comic book pickups for the week. There is more to come coming down the line here, more large hauls like this one coming down the pike here. So stay tuned for that. And now, without further ado, let me go ahead and give it back to myself up in the studio here for we could talk about grinding of gears, especially when it comes to AI art. There's some things that I need to really express here, and we're going to do it in the best way possible and not be overly negative. So, Joe, take it away. And here I am back again. And yes, he is correct. We're going to talk about AI art. And I know there's been, artists moving against it. I know that there's people who are like, well, why are you poo pooing it? Then there's other people saying, well, it's a tool. Why can't we use it? We're going to talk about all of it. And I'm going to talk about what I think. And the reason why I'm going to talk about what I think, because I started using it to see what it's like. And I see a lot of problems with it. A lot. The problem with AI art, especially with the renaissance of people discovering it. And I'm using the term renaissance because it is trying to, if I could say, modernize the contention of creativity. But in the bigger scheme, it can't do it. About this, I'm going to show you a few things here, but first things first, let's really get into the topic itself. I know that there's a lot of artists that just going to be like, no, this, that, and the other, it's bad, blah 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 blah. It's bad for a different reason than what people make of it. The tool itself is not a bad tool. And I'm going to put quotation marks around not a bad tool for this aspect here. This is the only reason why it's not bad. This is AI tools that allows people to create art is contingent on the fact that the user of the tool is the artist at hand. It was if I could say, the software tools that are being used now was not intended for artists. But if it's used in the hands of an artist who actually can understand prompts and everything, and the fact that he or she could feed its own work, not somebody else's work, their own work into it, it can be a handy tool. Like I stated, that is a quote unquote perfect scenario situation for use of AI in this aspect here. Now, will it be used that way? Hell no. Why? Because again, the movement for AI was mainly for, bigger corporate entities that uses graphic design, graphic artistry to kind of circumvent, just in case, you have like a artist strike, a writer strike, 3D artist strike and everything. They will be able to come in with this software and be able to still create and make whatever creative property that they control far as copyright is concerned without having, the manpower to do so. Is that a good thing? No, it's not. Because within itself, AI cannot create things out of thin air. It has to be fed, and I'm using the term fed in the aspects that it has to have like a ongoing building library of images that it can draw, that it could take from to manipulate and and maneuver the images in such a way to create your prompt that you give to it. Now, mind you, I'm talking in generalities here because of the simple fact that a lot of people talk about it in generalities as a whole here, but we want to go a little bit further. We want to go in depth into this here because I'm going to show you examples, and I do have a way for us to test it because I know how people are. People are always skeptics because even if I did show you my screenshots from where I did it earlier, there's still going to be people saying, well, how do you know that he did it right and this, that, and the other, yada, 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 yada. But my main contention against AI art is not the tool itself. It's the means in which the tool itself generates the artwork. And the only reason why this topic came up as of late is because on DeviantArt, I'm beginning to see a lot more of AI artistry popping up and AI artistry accounts popping up on DeviantArt. Now, granted, DeviantArt made that separation and everything, and if they ever decide to try to pull the, hey, anything that you post on DeviantArt we could use, you're going to see a lot of traditional artists leave because technically DeviantArt was going to be one of those, if I could say, sources of actual artwork for AI generators to use. And that is not a cool thing because people have to get paid for their artwork. DeviantArt does not hold the copyrights for a lot of this material here. And then they was getting ready to rewrite their memberships. If you had an account, they were about to get ready to rewrite the accounts to say that anything that you post from that point forward belongs to them, which means that even the current content that's on there, once that date hit, it belongs to them and they could do whatever they want. And if they could do whatever they want, they're going to give it to the data brokers for AI tools to be able to use. And that's not cool. That's not fair and everything. But as a result, they still have a lot of people who are using these AI tools and generating images and everything. And I've been looking at them. It's like some are nice to look at, but when you look at it, you look at it from the standpoint of, oh, it's nice, it looks pretty. But when you look at it from the standpoint of art, you begin to notice the problems. Things are not to scale correctly. Perspective is always off. Body parts are not drawn or rendered correctly. It's just so many things that is wrong, but when you're not looking at it in the eyes of the art itself, you overlook those type of things. It's like when you see something that looks, if I could say, aesthetically pleasing to you, you're not going in looking for, wait a second, that foot looks like, a foot looks like a hand. You're not thinking that right away. You're just like, oh, that's aesthetically pleasing. It's like, oh, that looks nice. And it's not to knock anybody who use AI tools and create great renders. I'm not knocking you. I'm not going to do that. And the reason why I'm not going to do that, because after trying some of these tools here, I'm beginning to understand why the prompts and stuff have to be the way that they do, because it's almost like telling something to draw something that could be so vague and everything to that magnitude here. And it looks like we got Parallax in the house. I know Tori is in the house because Tori helped me with Cassandra Cain here when I couldn't remember the actual Batgirl that I couldn't couldn't remember here. So Parallax is in the house here. Yeah, it's snowing there. I think it's snowing there. I think you guys were getting, all that snow and whatnot. So yeah, it's cold there. We're going to have at least a couple of nice days here between now and I think Tuesday before it gets cold again. Not in this version. In the Kelly Thompson version, she's not bad. She's not good, but she's not bad either. But that's kind of getting off topic here a little bit because we're talking about what got grinding my gears, which is AI tools and AI artistry. And as I was saying before I got on the tangent there with the Cassandra Cain here, is that the tool itself is not the problem. It's how they gather the images to create the artwork. It's where my gears get very grinded, because in a way, a lot of these, if I could say, providers of these tools are technically stealing art unless they went to certain artists and say, hey, let me buy a copyright for this image. Not and when with those artists maybe or maybe not knowing that your work is going to get, if I could say, manipulated in such a way where it's going to get replicated in so many different avenues and different methods that it just doesn't make any sense here. Well, that's the whole thing. That's the reason why I'm not going to knock those people who actually use the tools well, because of the simple fact that I used them. And I'm going to get into that. I haven't got that far yet, because I'm about to show you examples of how people who think that it's going to be simple, draw me a red cat. It's like, yeah, it could do that. But when you're up here doing the stuff that I try to do with like Primetime Saturday Night and Amazonia and everything, this stuff can't do it. It really has a problem. And it's not the end all be all, but the thing about it is, we as artists have to be careful of where we post our stuff from this point forward, because you never know what entities are going to sniff a website, try to steal what you're working on, and then it goes into an AI generator and they manipulate and come out with something that people actually like. And that's never a good thing, and it's never a good feeling, because of the simple fact that your hard work created something, went into a computer and the computer did some manipulation and stuff to it, which is never a fun thing here. But getting back to the point here is that it's a fine line between being a tool and being something that is detrimental to the craft. Is it helpful for the craft? And like I said, in the proper setting that I presented earlier, and I said, in the perfect case, if me as the artist bought AI software to generate stuff for my characters, and I fed it everything that I created just to help me out when I can't just get on about my business and do it by self, that's not a problem, because that's AI being used in its proper way for the tool itself. But like, let's just say we got some dude, bro, that's up here thinking I could go ahead and create a comic book. They go and they perfect how to do these prompts and think I'm a great artist. No, you're not. All your artwork is manipulated images from other people's work that you did not buy a copyright for. That's where the real problem lies at with AI. if people realize that you're taking and plagiarizing other people's work, then it would be a different thing. Like I said, don't poo-poo the tool. The tool has a purpose. But the thing about it is the companies and those bigger corporations that brought it into fruition did not tell you that one of the key things and components about using AI imagery is that you have to have images to put into it for it to work correctly. It doesn't create things out of thin air. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of the things that I was talking about here. Like, for example, this is one of the ones that I did on Morrow, which is part of DeviantArt. And so, like I said, if you caught from the very beginning, I looking at other people's artwork on DeviantArt that was doing AI art. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not 100% them, and maybe it's not 100%, AI. Maybe they did something before the AI generator did what they did. So I kind of jumped on and just like try to do some prompts here. Like the prompt for this one here, and it's nowhere close to it. My prompt was 50-foot black giantess towering, looking down at people who are running away from her. This is what it generated. Not even nowhere close to the prompt. And then when you look at some of the other options here, the other options are nowhere close to that. For one, she is nowhere near the scale of what I asked. She is definitely not African American. People look like they're jogging and it's on a bridge. So it's just like what it did to me is like it grabbed like a photograph of people jogging and tried to superimpose like a character on top of it. Now this is DeviantArt. Let's go to Google Gemini. 50-foot black giantess who is looking down at people running away from her. My thoughts is it's like that's not exactly what I was looking for. And it looks like it just was taking simple images from other people's work and just making a mishmash out of it. Yeah, it's a black woman, but it's not what people would think here. And it's not what is being asked. It's not as simple and as defined of what we stated for the prompt. It just doesn't make any sense in that aspect here. And then when I started to refine it more, I tried to do one that's like 50-foot, green-eyed, red hair, African-American giantess jogging as people are running away. And this is where we get into the whole thing. It's like, well, we could generate the image, but it's going to use photographs. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be really, really, really bad as far as how the prompts and stuff are and what people think as simple AI prompts should, as simple as prompts can be. A simple sentence, I could create a whole page. It's like, no, it's not that simple. And I know I started off and I preferenced this, that people are not going to believe these examples. So guess what? This is what we're going to do next. I have brought up Gemini. We're going to do something simple first. I'm going to do a simple prompt of a plaid dog. And you see, it's like, it's telling you, it's like, well, it could do like plaid dog recording, plaid dog where it's swearing. It's like there's a few things. It's like you being too vague. Okay, if I'm being too vague, then we're going to do a dog that has plaid fur. And now it's asking, it's like, well, the dog has to be wearing clothes. It's like, no. Why can't you do a plaid fur dog? That's what's being asked for. That is what's being asked for. But nope, it's not. It's not doing that. See, it's giving me everything but what I want for it to be an AI generator. Now, one that I do know that it did pretty okay. And this is the real problem with a lot of these things here. See, now it's going to YouTube. I don't want YouTube. I only want imagery. So let me do this here. I need to get Gemini to only do images. See, Gemini is giving me everything but what I was asking for, which is only AI generated images. And you can even send it images, and that's what's scary. It's almost like you're trying to feed the beast here. But give me another second here. Oh, I don't know how to turn off the web links for this here. I'm curious now, because now all of a sudden it's bringing me everywhere else other than where I was at here, because I was on Gemini when I was doing this earlier, and it was actually doing the 3D art. It was actually showing me art. Now it's giving me web links and everything, so it makes me wonder. And even when I did this last prompt, it's like nobody asked for web links. We just want images. And it's not just giving me the option for just images. I don't want web links. I don't want all this other stuff here. Let me do something else. Let's see what it does for 50-foot Jessica Rabbit. I don't want that. Where's so for some reason Gemini is acting weird. So we're going to use this other one instead here. Okay. There we go. I always pick photorealistic here. Simple stuff first. A dog with plaid fur. And you see again, they putting plaid, they putting a plaid coat around them. That's not what I asked for. A dog with plaid fur. Not what I asked. So those artists that are out there that are worried about this, about AI taking over, no, it's not going to happen. That's not exactly 50 foot tall, but what it did is that it found a Jessica Rabbit statue and gave me a photo of it. It didn't generate exactly what I was asking for. Same type of statue in a different location, not to scale of 50 foot tall. Yeah, that thing's like, yeah, exactly. Well, even if I did do that here, it still does not generate what I asked. Okay, here's the next prompt. It says somebody's asked me to be a little bit more long winded. A 50-foot tall African American giantess who is massively muscular, looking down on a 6-foot tall American male who is looking nervous. You think it's going to generate that? No, no, no. Not today. Watch what it's going to do. Watch what it's going to do. That is not exactly what I asked. Is that what I asked? Hell no. Not even close. Now, granted, my prompts, the more I feel this way, the more I get detailed with the prompts, the more it cannot do what I ask. That's the reason why I believe that this is why I give AI artists some prompts here, because there is a way that you have to write these prompts to get it to understand what is going on here. That is not what I asked for. Nowhere close. She is not 50 foot tall. And then if she was, why are the cars, the cars seem normal size in the background? They would be ultra tiny. This was the other thing that I was talking about as far as perspective and skill and all this other stuff. It just not right. Notice also the other thing here. Notice that it did not really change the main features of the main subjects of the prompt all that much. That's the same woman in the other image. And that's the other thing. It does not create unique characters unless you describe them. So you said go to Bing. So Bing has an AI generator. Okay, so let's go to Bing AI image. So far I'm up there. It's like all this stuff that I'm looking at, I'm just really not impressed at all. Really not. And like I said, maybe I'm giving it bad prompts. I don't know. So it's asking me to sign in. So I'm going to sign in. No. Okay. Hmm. Let's make this thing work. We're going to do, if I could type, a photorealistic image of Nancy Archer as the 50-foot woman in similar pose to the movie poster for said movie. Now I know that's a little bit more of a vague prompt, but that's what they were showing here. Not even close. I believe it just went out there to find pictures of women who may be named Nancy. Not even close. Nowhere near close. So let's try this here. I thought I started typing here. Let's go back to the Jessica Rabbit deal here. a photorealistic image of a 10-foot tall Jessica Rabbit chasing a tiny Roger Rabbit. Let's see what it does. that one is actually weird within itself. I give it points for originality, but that's not what was asked for. Now that one is just weird because they just grabbed some random redheaded character and then did just all weird stuff to do that. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So as you can see, what I originally said is 100% true. It's a tool, but it's a tool that is only as good as the images that it knows about. As you can see, that none of these are Jessica Rabbit, but it also did some extra stuff that I just don't get. I just don't understand here. Like with this image here, I don't know what's going on down there, but you got one here. Again, to scale, that doesn't look right, but at least you got somewhat of a chase there. And this one is actually, if it wasn't for the fact that they didn't get Jessica right here, and it's not to scale, but it's the closest thing to what I asked. Is there, she is chasing something. Is it Disney? Is it? Well, yeah, I keep forgetting Disney did buy Abilene. And it's like, yeah, that's an Abilene property. Yeah, Disney did buy that. Did buy that. Okay. So yeah, I could get it. I get it. I understand. But that's close. But the scale is not there. She's not 50 foot tall, or 10 foot tall, I should say. She's nowhere near 10 foot tall. So it is two rabbits, technically two rabbits chasing, and they literally took the word rabbit per se. This one, I don't even know what they're doing with the extra set of ears and the other stuff that's going on around it. That just, I don't know. And like I said, this is like nightmare fuel right here. It's just some random redhead, angry bunny, and then this smiling bunny, like, hee hee. I was like, I'm running away. I'm free of the nightmare. Yeah, this is the nightmare of AI that some artists are actually fearing for some reason. And none of it is photorealistic. That was the other part that made me kind of like, none of it's photorealistic at all. Let's do this here. Oh, this is going to be hilarious here. But I'm proving my point in doing this. Just to be do something funny. I just curious. I'm just curious to see what it does here. Uh, they gave this one other one bunny ears, but I guess for them, that's what Big Barter looks like. We don't see Ricochet Rabbit. We don't see all the other stuff. Where this sword is coming from, I have no idea. We didn't ask for a sword. There's some type of bunny ear coming back that way. And this one is even, a bunny helmet. And for those who don't know, I believe Ricochet Rabbit is a old school Hanna Barbera property, since we can't really use Disney. So again, we can't use known properties. So if we can't use known properties, that's fine. So we can't emulate that, or at least think go that direction here. Well, let me see. Let me do something like this, a prompt like this. So now I'm just seeing, what if we kind of keep it generic but give it details. Oh, so I ran out of tokens on the blink on that one. So I ran out of tokens on that. So you just can't infinitely create all this stuff, and you just can't infinitely create AI generated stuff on these free things here. So let's go back to this one here. So I'm just going to do that, delete it, paste the thing that I said over here. We're about to see what it does here. I bet you this is what they did. They took somebody's photograph. They took somebody's photograph as the She-Hulk, and they put in the AI put a clown outfit on it, or they just grabbed somebody's costume that they did something similar to that. Same thing here, but at least they tried to at least get it to scale. The attempt to get it to scale, it actually happened here. So just to get, this, all this is just showing you how much trouble you have to go through to get something that is worthwhile prompt wise. Yes, we have had articles upon articles upon articles upon articles about people entering AI art and art contests and winning and everything to that magnitude. Yes, that should be stopped. That they should not include that, because it's not something that was done by hand. But what I'm also showing you, that whatever prompt that they was using to create whatever image that they did that was so quote unquote spectacular to be awarded some type of merit, they would have to do something that is really so far gone that only a computer could generate that makes sense. But even like with the simple stuff, it's not getting the simple stuff right. I want to try one more before we get off of this topic here, and I can do my final thoughts here. Let's see what it does with that one. A 10-foot Asian woman who has the same build, dressed in a nightgown, crying over not having a date for the gala. We got to see what this one does. And what it does is kept the She-Hulk color. What type of face is that? And it's not to scale. So that one is definitely not to scale and everything, but pretty much they just grab like She-Hulk skin and this, that, and the other. And that one, they grabbed a actual comic book image and mocked it up the same way. So let me refine this a little bit more here. We're going to take out that last part. So we're just going to do just that to see if we could correct the skin tone problem. Nope. That one kept their green skin, and they did a different pose here. Yep. Keeping the green skin here. And using a lot more comic book images now, if you notice that. That doesn't look like crying. That just looked like somebody disgusted. Oh, what did I do with it? What happened to it? There we go. Yep. So that goes to show you that doing these prompts are not easy by no means whatsoever. So those who have been ranting and raving and doing all this other stuff that says that it's going to put us artists out of business. Not so fast. It really depends on whether or not whoever is using it has enough images out there and know how to do the prompts well enough to be able to create what is needed to be done as a whole here. Will it take a long time for people to learn how to use it? No. But that's what makes the part that really grinds my gears grindy. We need to kind of stand up and be like, nope, you cannot use our images as a whole, whether it be selfies and photographs that we take personally, whether it be our own hard-earned artwork, our own hard worked 3D imagery that we do in other platforms. All that stuff has to be protected in such a way to be free from these type of generators. As you can see with the last set of images here, They were stripping them from actual comic book artists. I don't know which ones that they were stripping them from, but they were stripping them from them. Whether or not they gave them the rights to use it is beyond me. But that's something that, like I said, is that gray area. And that's also where I separated the tool itself from the means of where it tries to create the newer image. The means is where we need to be angry about. The tool itself, it's a tool. It's no different than using a Sharpie marker on a Bristol board. This is technically a tool too. In the hands of a skilled artist, it could do a lot of things. Same thing with this AI generator. In the hands of somebody that's skilled, it could do a lot of things. But the only thing that generator can't do is actually draw. It has to have other images to go off of. Where are these people getting these other images? From unscrupulous sources that may not have the copyright to a lot of the imagery that they use to create this stuff. So on that note, we're going to shut the book down on what's grinding my gears on that aspect here and find out where you, the crowd, want to talk about now. Because again, I'm trying to keep things positive. I pretty much said what I'm going to say here. Am I for AI art? Not really. Not really. Like I said, I'm not going to throw anybody up under the bus who do it, because again, they took the time to learn how to do the prompting and stuff right. That's on them. But what made me do this topic is for the simple fact that I started to notice that the greater majority of the people that they do in their imagery, they all looked alike. There was not really variations of characters or thought. There's no imagination behind it. So I thought, let me go out before I say anything and put my mouth on anything. Let me go out here and try it for myself and see what it does. And this is what I'm doing here. You're going to bring in Matt. Why? Why are you going to do that? Is he for AI art? Because I'm trying to understand. It's like, people who are 100% for it, they're for it because it's a tool. It's a tool and it's a shortcut. And I use the term shortcut because technically they do not have to know traditional methods in order to use it and to get things drawn and everything, to have an image that they can use. That's the problem with it. That's one of the problems with it. But the real problem is it cannot do this stuff. It cannot make this stuff up from scratch. It has to use compare and contrast and manipulate other people's images to get as close to your prompt as a whole here. Yeah, I mean, you could show him this, show him the live stream once we're done here, because he will agree with me. He will agree with me. The tool part of it is not the problem. The real problem is the database of data, all the images that these things use, and the fact that a lot of these companies do not verify if they have copyrights for the images that they use on these generators. So there could be a lot of people out there that have their images being used and stolen. Let me add that it is stolen, because if they don't have copyrights to it, it is stolen. And other people are, creating all these different images and everything. Someone actually doing it for a profit because they're selling these images. So yeah, it's a very dangerous slope to go down. a very dangerous slope. But we have to put it in its right perspective. You have to it's like this whole AI imagery thing. It's like an onion. You have to strip off layers to get to the core of where the real problem lies at. The fact that it exists, that's not really the problem. It's the fact that people are using this, not being aware that they're pretty much using stuff that could be stolen. Do people have a problem with stolen stuff nowadays? Nope. That's another problem. But again, when you track the history of how this stuff comes about, it always going to come back down to pretty much Hollywood, and if I could say it in this term here, intellectual property holders trying to cut out artists and other middlemen dealing with the art side of things, who does it traditionally, to cut them out just in case there is a problem with the labor side of things here. So all these companies now are gravitating towards these types of products up under the aspect that, oh, all these artists did this stuff for us as work for hire. That's another thing that has to be proved, because if it's done as work for hire, depending on their contract, a lot of their work is not protected up under copyright, up under them. They wouldn't own the copyright. The people who hired them would have that copyright. So like I said, you can't get mad at the tool, but you have to get mad at how they're generating these images and where these images that they're using are coming from. A lot of times it is stolen. The people who made these original pieces of artwork that they're using have not been compensated, period. That's the real problem and reason why a lot of artists gets upset about it. It's a means to cut them out of what is rightfully due to them as far as pay is concerned. It's like, if I was an artist, I would use AI to enhance my drawing, i.e. city landscapes, to make my Wonder Woman fly. Wouldn't it just be easier just to pay a photographer to take cityscape shots for you? You don't have to go the AI route for that. That way, when you have those images from the photographer, you can always light box them and, draw them into your scene that way. Just a thought. Like I said, there's people think AI is this magical thing. It's like, no, it's no different than a tool like a marker or a pencil. It's no different than one of these tools here, or a pen. It's no different in that aspect here. A computer generated image is nothing more than just what it is. It bypassed the traditional method. But even with that being said, it's like, you will have to buy the bigger software package, and you have to feed in all of your artwork for it to be legitimately used for what you're trying to do with it here. Yes, because you can type a Jack Kirby style superhuman hero team. Oh, you know what? Let's try it. Let's try it and see what we get. And I bet you I know what we're probably going to end up getting. I bet you know what we're going to be end up getting here. It did. Comic book covers. I could almost put my finger on what cover that they got most of these images from. I could almost put my finger on it. That's a comic book cover. I know that much. This is another comic book cover. I'm just looking at, I was looking like right down there because I was up here. It's like, is that the artist's signature right there? But I can't really tell. But yeah, they're taking the stuff from other people's comic book covers. That looks like Jack Kirby. But again, that's technically stolen assets because I don't think that they bought the rights for that image at all. That's the real problem. But yet, we project too much into the tool instead of projecting that anger at open art or deviant art for the moral. Well, with deviant art, here's the problem with deviant art because I have a sneaky suspicion. That there are some people out there that did allow deviant art to use their artwork. So if it is what I think it is, it's like if there are accounts that out there that did allow deviant art to use their artwork for moral, more power to them. They gave them permission. What can I say? Now, is it morally wrong for those who generate stuff using moral to make money off of it? That's, I would say, is a $50,000 question to answer. Is it morally right? Or should I say ethically right to do so? May not be more moral, may not be the right word, but ethically, yeah. Is it ethically right? And Parallax is saying, yep. They just jack somebody's comic book cover. It's like, here, use this. And just up here like, this stuff would be fun just for shits and giggles if it was just a thing to do for shits and giggles. But it's not. People are actually literally making money and getting acclaim from using this type of stuff. And that, like I said, ethically so, is not a good thing. Because I won't say that they're bypassing traditional artwork, but it's more along the lines that you really didn't create it. You learned if I could say in this aspect, a programming language. That's what technically the prompt is. You're literally programming a set item or giving it a set item, a set command to do this one image. And in that set command, you're getting the image that you want out of it. Did you have any, if I could say, imagination in said thing? Yes. Because again, the script or the prompt itself have to be descriptive. So there has to be a little bit of imagination in there. But do you hold it at the same regards of imagination who would as somebody who used this tool and a piece of paper to do the exact same thing? Again, another ethical dilemma, probably a little bit moral, but definitely ethical. Because again, art is not easy, but at the same time, it's very subjective. For example, somebody could pretty much sell a canvas of white paint on it with white paint on it for $1 million and pawn it off as art, it is what it is. Why? Because the actual white paint that's on that canvas is there in a certain form and fashion. Is it really artwork? In my eyes, it's probably not, but somebody took the time to put white paint on it, and somebody actually saw it valuable enough to pay $1 million for it. And yes, that actually did happen. It's like everybody was up here thinking like, no, it's a blank piece of canvas. It's like, yeah, it's a blank piece of canvas, but it's a blank piece of canvas with white paint on the front facing of it in a certain way that it mimics a white canvas. They said it was high art, and somebody paid over $1 million for it. Art is what it is. It is very subjective. AI art does not fall up under those categories because there was not anything truly done by the creator itself. They used a tool to manipulate other people's work. That now gets me into that quagmire of that trying to avoid opening up that door. It's like, well, how do you feel about people who do collages and do the photo manipulations and all this other stuff? They use Photoshop to do that. It's no different than what we're doing with the AI. In a way, it is, because photo manipulation has if I can say, a traditional learning about it. You could go to school to learn how to manipulate photographs. This haven't crossed that threshold as of yet. This is somebody that could, you could have. It's like, for example, a person like Beanie could get on, OpenArt.ai and give it like funny little prompts for like Sesame Street type stuff and everything, and create something that could be very awesome. Does that mean that she went to school to be able to do that in a traditional standpoint? If you gave her, some Crayola markers and some paper? No. But like I said before, it's not the tool that's the problem. It's the source of where it gets the images from. Now, if Beanie took all of her art that she does in school and everything and feeds it into a database and then use something like OpenAI, fair game. That's her work. She's using it to manipulate it. That's her work. You can't fault her for it. Why? Because she took the time to draw the actual artwork that's in that database that she's using to use the AI tool to do this from. Yep. Okay. Oh, there he is. There he is. You caught the tail end of it. You caught the tail end of it here. I'm at the tail end of my ranting about AI art. And Parallax was up here. It's like, yeah, he needs to be here. He needs to be here because she said that you hate this. You hate AI art. And I'm up here. It's like, well, it's like an onion. Once I peeled away the layers about it being a tool, my thing that I don't like about it is the fact that it's stealing people's artwork to allow other people to profit off of it. And not everybody, and not every last one of these companies that have these tools can verify and prove that every last bit of artwork in those databases is copyrighted or owned by them. So, like I said, it becomes an ethical problem at that point. But that's the short cut and down and dirty and everything If you want to go back and rewatch it, I went through actual prompts. I actually used a couple of different AI generating tools just to prove my point that it's not the tool itself, it's where they're drawing the artwork from to create this type of stuff, because I was getting some very weird and warped answers to my prompts. What? Yes. Yes. Shrek is like an onion. Exactly. So is this AI. Not everybody likes Shrek, but I like the story. I like Shrek's story, but AI is a completely different animal. This stuff is a completely different animal here. But again, why are you trying to change the subject about womb excavation day? Oh, okay. No, that would be something that we would have to take outside of the live stream. The reason being is because I'm going to honor something that was told to me more so than anything else. She is like, some of that stuff is bad, but one of the things that I will do is go shame, shame. But no, me yelling about something like that, that's getting into the more personal aspect here, and I'm going to try my best to keep the more personal aspect of you and her life off the internet as much as I can. It's like, I know that people would know that you guys exist, but that fact, me yelling and all the other stuff, that's something that's outside. But again, it won't be too much yelling, but to me it'd be more of a shaming. But then again, he and I are on the same boat though at this point, because like, at least I did try to do something for her birthday, or her excavation day, as you called it. But even with that being stated here, she still didn't get something tangible. But like I said, it is what it is, and we deal with that off the air. But that's where we're at as of right now. All the other stuff that's going on here, people talking about CGC certification and all this graded stuff, I just going to put it on the back burner. Uh, only reason I'm going to put it on the back burner is because it gets to the point where people are getting upset about things that they think and want more so than what is actually being offered by these companies. Like, for example, like I could be overly upset at CGC, because I was initially, but now after talking it over with somebody, because I did somebody a favor. That favor was I submitted something on their behalf, sent it out there, and it's a and the thing about it is, it's a good possibility that something had transpired. Either a I really don't want to say it this way. Either a, the book got swapped, or b, the book got damaged in their hands. I understand by their policy that stuff, at least would, if B did happen, by their policy, that stuff like that happens, and there's little recourse that we have. But I have a hard time really believing that they swapped out the book. So, I'm seeing, people up here wanting to rip and, CGC a new one. It's like, just read the policies behind it. Read what you're agreeing to. Now, does it hurt? Because, to make a long story short, I had a person that sent a gold foil Ultimate Spider-Man 1 from the Marvel 24 packs to CGC. When it left my hands, it was at least a 9.2 or better. When it finally got graded, it had visible damage on the cover. When it left my hands, it had none. And then I thought about it. It's like I could go back to the Whatnot sale that it was bought at to show them this. But then again, our parents like, well, even with that being said, the letter of what was agreed upon would, would keep them from being liable at that point. Is it angering? Yes. Do I fault them for that? No. Because stuff like that happens in mail shipments. It's like I can't prove that they did something to the book per se, especially since there was no we didn't do any pressing because of the gold foil. We didn't do a press or anything to that magnitude. So we can't really say one way or the other. However, from where the damage was at on the book, it could lend to somebody gripped it a certain way and it could have got damage in that aspect, and it was what it was. Now, the former, there's no way to prove that. And I tried to tell the other individual, there's no way in the world you could prove that a book was swapped there. No way to prove that. And I highly doubt that they would do that because of the scrutiny that they've been up under as of late. Is it likely? But for the record, it would be awfully hard to prove. It would be awfully hard to even accuse. But the only thing I do know is that stuff like this happens. And one of the things that I told him is that for now on, when it comes to modern books, and like I said, I've been watching it, watching how people been reacting to CGC grading. A lot of the stuff that they're complaining about is always been with modern books. Has not really been too much for older books. More modern, more so than anything else. And when I say more modern, we're talking about books from 1975 to now. When we get into like Silver Age and Golden Age books, CGC has been on top of it. But a lot of the modern stuff, it's just been, I just feel that people are just being too nitpicky. And Parallax and I have always talked about this. Not everybody's going out there, and even Tori could attest to this. Not everybody's going out there with the gloves and handling everything with the gloves and having all the stuff measured and looked at and scrutinized the way that they're doing it. So, your opinion does not necessarily equals the grader that is doing what they're doing here. However, like I said before, it's like when you sent in a book that did not have damage and you come back and you looked at it and it's like, where did this damage come from? It makes the wheels turn in your head. So what was sent to them as a 9.2 or better came back at 8.5. It's fair. Is she going to say my opinion is fact? Hashtag facts. Actually, you should say hashtag facts according to Parallax. those things happen? Should we, grab our pitchforks and stuff and be like, let's go take CGC down? It's like, no, stuff happens. Now, if it's a consistency, then that's when you really need to bring it to their attention. But, this is one of several books in a long line of books that I sent to them that had actually had something like that. And it makes me, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, but then again, with everything that's been going on as of late with the mail and all the stuff that's been happening in Florida with the weather and everything, you just don't know, and you just got to give the benefit of the doubt at this point. And besides, some of the modern books that I have sent into them, as like I have noticed a difference between how they handle it while at a comic book show versus when I sent them in, sent them in through the mail. And this one was sent in through the mail. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that can be attributed to, hey, this book has been through the ringer because U.S. mail has struck again or has done something. But then again, it also took longer because of the weather and all the other stuff that happened in Florida. So a lot of stuff could have happened. And in between all that stuff, things could have got damaged. Who's at fault? We don't know. You just gotta let it go. But with that being stated here, I think I'm done ranting. There's not really too much more that's grinding my gears at this point in time here, other than the fact that people complain too much about graded books in the first place. If you see, I don't want to go back into the ranting, because if people weren't trying to do quick flips, the world would be a lot better if they would just stick to preservation. And I know a lot of people saying, well, CGC cases are not the best way to preserve it. It's like, yeah, it's not the best way to preserve. But here's the caveat to it. Next time, ask your insurance adjuster, especially if you got a house or renter's insurance. When it comes to how do you know that your comic book is appraised for that much? Who appraised it? When they ask you that question, don't be surprised if they turn up their nose and be like, oh no, you got to go somewhere else to get that book appraised. Because whatever the comic book shop says, it's not good enough. If you have the original receipt, maybe. But I do know one thing. Certification from a grading company goes a long way approving value in preservation side, on the preservation side of things. What do I know? What do I know? Yep, and he says true. I mean, people who do the quick flip don't understand that time bubble. You only have X amount of time to get a book in, get it graded, get it back, and then try to sell it. Hopefully to somebody who is eager enough to buy it. That's a hard task. Very hard task. Not an easy thing to do. And I'm just, and between all of us that's here, probably in the chat, between Matthew, Parallax, Tori, myself, and even those out there who are watching that have not chimed in as of right now, know of comic book mongers who cannot capitalize on those bubbles like they should. We know. I mean, I will even give shout outs to people that I know, like Bryce Comics or Mint Hunter Comics, who does this stuff on a daily. And they look at this stuff and go and they just up here. It's like Brian would be like, sometimes you just got to take that loss. That's the nature of the game. Mint Hunter would say that sometimes that's just the nature of the game. If I miss that time frame, I miss that time frame. Your only two options here is sell for less or to hold on to it until that cycle returns, where you might be able to catch that bubble again. but that's the nature of quick flipping. But enough ranting. Enough ranting on that here. Enough ranting, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that's going to get pissed off if I continue on. And like I said, I made it very clear. I'm more of a preservationist than somebody that quick flips here. Even on my whatnot shows, people are surprised that a lot of the higher end modern books I'm selling like dirt cheap. Selling like very dirt cheap. And to me, it's like, I'd rather for you to fill in your collection than to really overly profit off of it. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Parallax, I saw that I have sold things like, Secret Wars #1 for like $5. The other day, I sold what, X-Men #4 first Sabertooth for like $3. A high grade one on top of that, $3. Am I upset now? I'm going to be upset about it because it's like, oh man, that could have been, that's worth like 5 times as much. So, to me, it's like, if somebody wants to pay that much for it, they pay that much for it. But for me, it's like $3 is what I need, because it was an extra. People are going to be up here like, well, you just, you're throwing money out the window. It's like, really? So the ones that I'm actually keeping in storage means nothing. The ones that are actually preserving means nothing. This was an extra. This was a, hey, I got an extra high grade one here. You can have it for $3. I don't care. Heck, I seen right now on Volume 1 Wonder Woman back from like the 1960s. Been trying to sell those for like, $6, $8, and $10. Nobody has come through to pick them up. So it really depends on who's collecting what and how they're collecting it. And like I said, it's a bubble. It's a time bubble. It's like when stuff are popular, if you got it, people are going to buy it. If not, you just gotta sit and hope and wait, and eventually the right people will find you, and they will buy from you. That's just the way that it is. Oh no, 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 no. That's a name that I choose not to bring up. That's a name that I choose not to bring up. Yeah, because I know for a fact. I know for a fact that there have been a lot of changes that's been going on with the selling portion of a lot of the sellers that I know that sells online, either through YouTube or either through whatnot or either through Facebook. And I'm glad that the ones that I really care for are surviving. But when you have a person that was brought up just a few moments ago that led to some of the changes that is going on now with said platform on Facebook, that, or I should say the said group that's on Facebook, that speaks volumes as far as character is concerned. When now all of a sudden one of the founding members are now saying that the only way you could get on to said group as a seller now is that you have to have a physical brick and mortar, speaks a lot. Speaks a lot. But nevertheless, it is what it is. I myself have no ill will towards said individual outside of what was said to a person who I consider a dear friend. I still hopefully one day that he will get to the point to apologize for some of it. But at the same time, I don't expect it. Just the nature of the individual. And it's weird because the people that saw his side did more harassment than the people who saw her side. Just to speak more volume into the type of character of said person. But we'll leave it at that. We need to move to something more positive, because, like I said, I don't like speaking ill of people that does not necessarily need to be done. But nevertheless, you guys need to also get on me about not keeping up with Primetime Saturday Night and the Amazonia issues here, because I have not been doing that type of work here. I've been doing a lot of the sketch covers, been doing a lot of reading, been doing a lot of videos type stuff, like the Popeye. If you didn't see Comic Book Spectrum, I did like a little Popeye skit video to do my review on. So it's one of those things that you guys gotta keep me accountable. I still need to get my work done. I still need to still finish those pages here. So if you guys are not harassing me about those pages, it's just going to delay issue 5 of Primetime Saturday Night longer, and it's going to delay Amazonia 8 longer. So I need your guys, you guys got to be in my ears. Like, did you work on a page today? Did you work on a page today? Did you work on a page today? When we come to these Saturday meetings that we have here, right here on Facebook. So on this note, we're going to end right around our 2-hour mark here. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here on this episode of From Desk Small Press Publisher. I hope that my ranting wasn't too much for you. Hopefully, I also explained a lot about the controversy dealing with the AI art. It's not, like I said, it's multiple layers. And once you strip out the layers that doesn't mean anything, you get to see the real problem for what it is. And I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from on a lot of other topics as well, if I do more grind my gears type stuff here. So until next time here, we're going to have another After Whatnot Thoughts here, because it would be our next week would be our last Whatnot sale for the year. So we're going to be showing up after one of those sales here. So we're going to have one of those type of shows here. We're going to talk about what was sold, what was not sold, what was going on the platform, stuff to that magnitude again. So until then, live life, grow, and be well. And we'll be out of here for another week. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, unless you're on the East Coast right now. And then that means that you're probably in Sunday already. So probably get ready for some football and other stuff here. For me, I'll probably go out to storage on tomorrow morning and come back and help with some other decorating type stuff, which I really don't want to do. But it is what it is. So on that note, bye. Or as they say in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, why are you still here? Go home. Go home. Later.